What's up? Welcome back. College football reactions week number 4 in the books. First and foremost, hey, if you already know about this, like, comment, and subscribe on the channel. Thank you for giving me a little bit of your time. I do have a real job, so therefore I work. So it's a little bit hard to do these videos consistently, but I'm doing it because it's a hobby and I'm having fun. And if you like it, then that's what's up too, bro. That's what's up too. You can like it too as well. I just got through, so it's about 3 o'clock my time, Eastern time. Here in the morning, just got through watching USC play. Pretty good game. I'm just go ahead and rattle it off. Top topics right quick. First things first, I'm gonna start off with, of course, you already know, the Aggies. Giggle looking at. Yeah, they took care of business today against Auburn. They beat them. I think it was 27-10, I believe. Oh boy, Winnipeg went down. Chad Windman went down, so lower leg injury. Kind of looking at that in the future. I don't know what to really say about that too much. Noah did not play as well, but Evan Stewart had a great game. He had a great game. We'll talk about draft stock too, value as well for these players too as college football. What helped them, what hurt them this week as well. But yeah, man, Stewart had a great game. Wonderful performance. Auburn just really couldn't get it going. The transfer from Michigan State, he couldn't get it going as well. That whole 2-quarterback system, just they need to figure out who their guy is in Auburn. But A&M looked good in that game, man, especially after that Miami loss, winning 2 games back-to-back now. Going into SEC play, so it's going to get a little bit harder. We got Bama coming up in a few weeks, Ole Miss as well, so you know how that goes. So it's going to get a little ugly here later on in the year, but it's a pretty good start for them. Next up, UCLA, Utah. The freshman quarterback for UCLA, he threw a pick 6, and pretty much the rest was history. Utah took care of business. It was straight defense. Utah looks pretty good to be in the top 25. They're not bad. It's just whenever Cam Rising does get back, I think that's when they will ascend in the Pac-12. That this Pac-12 that everyone's talking about, how they're the dominant conference now with all the quarterbacks and really just most of the quarterbacks: Caleb Williams, Michael Penix, Charlie Ward, DJ up in Oregon State, Bo Nix at Oregon, and then you got Cam Rising come back at Utah. So out of the Pac-12, you got 6 teams that got a quarterback. And I'm not even talking about the guy at Arizona. I forgot about him. I can't pronounce his name. De La Ruse, I think, something like that. But you got 7 quarterbacks in the Pac-12 that could potentially go pretty much in the NFL and at least be a backup at best. You know what I'm saying? So that's scary right there. But Utah doing this without a quarterback says a lot right there for them to be where they're at right now, especially beating UCLA with, I don't know what UCLA is doing either as well, to be honest with you, too, on top of that. But at least Utah won. No reaction to the game. Washington versus Oregon State. I'm not too surprised. I did say that a couple days ago that Washington was going to win over Oregon State. I said watch out for that Ward kid. He is the truth. Little undersized, skinny, but can play. Nothing wrong with him. I think he can make the throws. I was on Bro Schmo shouted me out on his YouTube channel. We were talking about it while we were watching the Patriots-Dolphins game on Sunday. I was telling him what's his thoughts. My thoughts are now that are solidified that I do believe that Washington State is a contender in the Pac-12. They are the sleeper team, the dark horse. I believe if they get in a shootout, they could win. I know at the end of the season they play Washington, their rival Washington in-state rivalry, Apple Cup, I believe. So I don't think they're potentially ready to beat Washington just yet. But Washington does give up a lot of points. But Washington State also does too. However, one player is all it takes. And we'll talk more about that too as well, because one player does decide a different factor in a team. And we watched that today in college football. If you have not noticed, a couple of teams have had that. Next up, speaking of that, jumping right into this right segue. Washington and USC. We watched the Trojans pretty much go out there and just embarrass Arizona State. Caleb Williams did his thing, passed the ball to any receiver. It doesn't matter. They all going to do their thing. However, Rice was the highlight of that game pretty much. He ate up. If you have FanDuel and you play college FanDuel, you were, man, what? And he was like, I think 7,200, 6,900 or something like that. So for you to get that guy, thumbs up, automatic, straight dub. Real quick, though, Caleb does his thing. On the other side, currently, a couple of states up north, we had my boy Michael Penix literally out there doing his thing. balling, man, against the Cal. And Cal was actually in it for a while. Cal has a pretty good defense, believe it or not. The problem is just that Cal can't. They were giving the ball right back. They were just letting Washington pretty much win. They were just giving the game to them. Romeo, man, Usman, I think that's his name, Uduzul, something like that. I think that dude is the truth. That dude is nice. The whole receiving core for Washington is nice. Mullen didn't play, so he was out. But I see Washington. They are also, of course, contenders in the Pac-12. I mean, if you have not noticed that, right? So I think these two are the heavy hitters right now, USC and Washington. However, I think when Cam Rising or Wharton then play, that's when we're going to start seeing the whole Pac-12 map out of who is who and what is what. You know what I mean? And don't count Arizona out. Don't count Arizona out. I like the quarterback there. He's just fast as hell, man. He's just so fast. You know, it's scary. He's scary fast. LSU barely wins over Arkansas. Thoughts on that? I am here to say KJ Jefferson will get drafted in the quarterback conversation. He will get drafted. I'm sorry, excuse me. He will get drafted this year in the NFL draft. Not high, definitely not high. He'll probably be maybe a day 3, if not like a 7th round type quarterback. But KJ Jefferson balled, and it's not the first time he's done this, right? He's periodically known to do this. He's done this in the Arkansas A&M game. He's done this in the Ole Miss game. This guy doesn't have top receivers. The last year he had Traylon Burks. This year he's got Armstrong. To be honest with you, it's just really the size of those receivers is what people look at. It's not really the route running or anything like that. They're doing mostly go routes and posts. But KJ Jefferson and Daniels, they were going at it back and forth. I know it's a rivalry game, so you know the playbook is wide open whenever you play your rival, right? You got to win. You got to beat them. But I'm just saying to myself, and I'm thinking right now that Malik Neighbors and Daniels are a really good connection right now. They are what C.J. Stroud and Marvin Harrison Jr. was last year. I think they are the new and improved version of that in college football right now because USC doesn't have a designated receiver. There's so many receivers in Washington. I think that these are the go-to guys. Florida State as well. They have some people too. They beat Clemson today. Just want to brush over that real quick to let you know. I am not absolutely. Hold on, wait. Did Clemson win today, or did Florida State win? That's actually a good question. I actually have to go back and look that up. But yeah. Anyways, more or less, real quick, LSU, Arkansas. That's obviously opening gates of the SEC game conference. Really, it shouldn't have been that close. It shouldn't have been that close at all, man. Especially with them two playing. However, Alabama is back. Melrose at quarterback, looking like a running QB. So that's what he likes to do. That's what it's going to be. I'm not disappointed in Alabama. At least Saban is sticking to a guy for a while and running the ball down people's throat, going to that 2014, 2012 Saban where pretty much it is, yep, there you go right there for the Clemson game. Pretty much just downhill, down your throat, run. And Florida State did beat Clemson, by the way. So FSU, Seminoles, I'm not going to do all that. But, yeah, this is just one of the things where you start to ask yourself, Alabama, are they officially done? I don't think they're done. I think Saban is... You can't never count Saban out. You can't never count Saban or Urban Meyer out. Really, you never can. I think that Saban right now is going through what you call a period where the players that INL, whatever, where the players are getting paid now, that's really hurting Saban a lot in that transfer portal. Because these kids, why go to Alabama and sit behind, Melrose when I could go to Kentucky State Western University and go play right away? You know what I mean? So, and get paid. So it's kind of tough because I know that Saban builds this pretty stern house, him and Kirby Smart, the blue bloods of college football. But right now, man, it's looking like pretty much that transfer portal is what's hurting Bama, man. And when you watch them play, you hear the announcer say, oh, another SEC transfer kid to another place, da-da-da. It starts to add up and it starts to make you think, wow, like if this portal was around back in the day, would you have had those juggernauts in the SEC or the Pac-12. And I know I'm going on a tangent here, but I'm going to the next part of this because of that. Um, with that being said, with these juggernauts being, dismantled, Michigan and Texas still hold frame today in their wins. I know Michigan was playing a very interesting Rutgers team, and Texas playing an interesting Baylor team, who actually gave Utah a run for its money, believe it or not. But these two teams right here seem to, I guess because Michigan and Texas both have in-house talent, so they don't really have to go far to get it. But still, there's still the blue bloods that are holding strong, and it's not like they're messing up or anything like that. And Alabama's not, I'm not saying they're not falling off completely. Like, let's not get carried away. They just won a title a couple of years back, right? So, and they've been winning titles since the last decade. So, it's not like Alabama falls completely off the face of the earth. However, it's a thought right now where UGA is at and Alabama is at right now, and it's scary. It's one of those things where if you're a Tide fan, the Tide is slowing down. It's got to gear up for another one. So I could see them coming back in the next 2 to 3 years, fully loaded. Because even Ole Miss on paper today, I know they beat Ole Miss, but it was a thought. I haven't had a thought that Ole Miss could even touch Alabama in the past decade. But Ole Miss today, I thought they could actually beat Alabama, but of course they didn't. But still, it was a thought in my mind where that could have taken place and could have happened. That never comes across my mind. I'm not even an Alabama fan. I actually despise Alabama. You know where we at with it right here, baby. A&M, let's get it. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the real main factor of today's day, week, right? You ready for this, guys? UGA versus UAB. No, I'm messing with you. I'm gonna get to that one too as well. But UGA took down UAB easy. But here's the real topic, guys. Prime outshine in the Duckland. Donald Duck wasn't playing today. They just outplayed them, outmatched them. And remember we were talking about how certain players can really change the dynamic of college football. I think without Travis Hunter being on the field today, no one stopped Franklin. No, it wasn't about Bo Nix. It was about just getting the ball to Franklin and watching him just unload. And I don't know about you, but for me, after a while, and this is something that I thought Prime should have done after the first or maybe the second time, double coverage, triple coverage, do what you got to do. He can't touch the ball no more. Tag, he is it. He was him today. And that's the thing that I was really worried about was going into this, looking at this game. It's not like I called Colorado to get blown out. I had them actually putting up some points in this game. And I didn't expect Oregon's defense to be that good either. So that says a lot about the talent that Colorado has played and shows you either how pissed Oregon was and ready for Colorado, or in short, Oregon is just that good. They just that team. Like, they might just be that team. And they've been playing some trash teams, but I have a coworker of mine and a friend of mine that said, when you play trash teams, you find out more about yourself than you do when you play against a good opponent, because you think that you're just good, you're just beating the good team, so you don't have to really worry about it. But when you play a sorry team, you're better than them, you analyze more. Well, why do we make these mistakes? What's going on? We keep doing this X, Y, Z, blase, blase, yada, yada. However, Prime should have made some changes defensively, and he's been preaching that all season long, talking about his defense just not being there. The TCU game, they gave him too many points. Nebraska game was the only game defensively where they did it, but however, Nebraska was one-dimensional. The next game, Colorado State, they put up 40 points on them. It was beginning to be where, do we win because it's just a slugfest, or do we win because we actually have a legit set of criteria met where we have a standard at Colorado? And I do believe that this is his first year, it's his first 3 games, and in my analysis, Prime has done great. He ain't done bad. He has done a phenomenal job at Colorado for them to be where they were. However, I'm not going to discredit Oregon today, too. Oregon has done a phenomenal job ever since the UGA loss last year, that 42-3, that shellacking, mollywop, whooping, woodshed, whatever you want to call it. Oregon has been a different team since then. They have a different identity, and we're going to find out how good Oregon is coming up when they play, those Washington States, the Oregons, the Oregon States, or if they have to meet, USC in the Pac-12 championship, or they play Utah when they play Utah. We're going to find out how great Oregon really is. Was this really a punching bag match for Oregon? For Oregon, was it a warm-up, tune-up game? Or was this Colorado just saying basically in short, they're gassed week in, week out, they have to come up with points. People got film on them now. So Prime got outshined, but I think they got USC next week, and I don't want to see them lose, man. Like, I don't want to see Prime lose, but it's a strong possibility that they could lose to USC. But I don't think it would be as bad as this Oregon loss today. I don't think it would be as bad as that. I think that's probably going to happen maybe once in his career. And then after that, I think he's going to go to the drawing board, take care of business. He's going to tighten that defense up. That secondary, man. Shiloh, they should have done a lot better today. It just seemed like there was no explanation and no answers for Bryant, Franklin, the running back Irving. They just did what they wanted. They just had their way today. And I know Prime addressed it in his press conference. Like he was saying, basically, you guys better get me, this year because it's gonna be my worst year. And I agree with that, right? Like, so take advantage while you can, because this hype train is real. So people are watching. They're watching and they're debating right now the transfer portal. They want to go play for Prime or not. And every game is basically a recruiting game. So for them to go to Duckland, get kind of blown out like that kind of hurt his recruits, I believe, in that area. But Oregon, on the other hand, great moral win. We don't do this for clicks. We do it for the dubs. I agree. I understand both sides of the argument. Next up, second to last, actually, topic. Ohio State versus Notre Dame. Don't you love the rules in college football, by the way? How Ohio State gets inside the 20, inside the 5, the last play of the game with 9 seconds left, and the clock stops because they get a first down? Don't you love that? Don't you love that if you're an Ohio State fan, how the rules work in your favor? It's like Notre Dame gets no breaks when it comes to the rules since the 2000s, right? I'm old enough to remember the Reggie Bush push real quick. That was totally not fair at all, not right. USC did it, and they pushed him in the end zone, right? Now we look at the new rule that was implemented by by the NCAA against Notre Dame today, where that clock stoppage is real. And then, of course, obviously they run it in and get the game-winning touchdown, right? They get to clock it, go ahead, straight power, QB power, or option to the running back, which he does give, and boom, they go in there and they get it in the one, and they score, which is cool, great. But this game, this entire game, Notre Dame should have won. Ohio State, I don't know what's going on with Ohio State. Is it Ryan Day? I think it's Ryan Day, right? Ohio State's coach. Yeah, I think it's Ryan Day. He just seems not really knowing what he's doing 100% with this Ohio State team. I think that people are going to Ohio State and they're playing ball there and they're doing great because of the name, not because of the coach anymore. And not like Urban Meyer was any. Well, I like Urban Meyer. I like Urban Meyer off the field. On the field, not off the field. I think that Ohio State is losing its identity all the way. Michigan beating them 2 years back to back really has changed the identity of Ohio State. However, they are too dang talented at the skill position. The two running backs they got dang near 1,000 receivers. They're up there with the Washingtons. They're just as good with Washington when it comes to the receiving core. It's just, my biggest thing is that they don't have a quarterback. And at some point, and it's not like we're saying Notre Dame's defense is that good, right? Like, they really ain't played too many good people. Notre Dame ain't really played nobody, man. So it makes you wonder how good Notre Dame is, and it makes you wonder, is Ohio State that bad? They don't look good. They don't look like they're that team, and I don't think that Ohio State's going to go deep this year to make it, even if they make it to the Pac-12 the Big Ten championship this year. I don't think they get in. I really don't. I could see Penn State beating them, so on and so forth. Of course, Michigan, they're clearly a better team right now. But this Ohio State game and Notre Dame game, it shows, man. But flip side, though, Notre Dame, on the other hand, they got some running backs. They can run lights out. They finally got a pretty good quarterback. He's solid. Sam Hartman. Not an explosive game like he was at Wake Forest. He's only done it against Navy this year, and he did it against NC State. But outside of that, which really is small because it's only been week 4, right? So you're like, oh man, every game he's balled out. This is the only game he didn't ball out. But it's not like he was electrifying in every single game. It was kind of like they didn't really turn him loose yet at Notre Dame. And I think they're being very reserved with the quarterback that can really put up points on the board. So I think with a talent like that, Notre Dame should be just letting it fly, like just go all out. And they're still sticking to this old school run the ball, which is cool, which is great. I get it. You're winning games. Don't change the formula. But just remember what you got. You got him in the chamber. You got a whole Desert Eagle just waiting to get shot, just waiting to shoot some shots, man. And that brings me to the draft stock for these players right now in the NCAA. I got this little thing. It's called draft stocks, where they go up and then where they go down. Coleman out of Florida State. Terrible performance last week. Way to redeem yourself this week. Well, that's what I'm talking about. That's what you do. You go out there and you ball like that. That's how you do. Franklin out of Oregon, obviously, I mean, enough said. We saw the whoopings. We saw the beating. We know what Franklin did. He was the man. He's a top receiver in the NCAA right now. And if he decides to come out, I wouldn't blame him. Number 3 right now, Malik Neighbors out of LSU. That boy good. That boy good. He is he's pretty saucy as well. Malik Neighbors has been doing this consecutively now for a while this season, and he's just gonna keep getting better and better. I don't really see any corners getting in his way, anybody, safeties, nothing like that really slowing them down right now in the SEC until they get to the Bama game, the A&M game, so on and so forth like that. But yeah, him and Daniels right there, Daniels as well. Quarterback play is now. I guess I'm getting to the quarterbacks too a little bit as well. But quarterback play, Daniels is doing good. I guess the switch from Arizona State really did help. Next up is KJ Jefferson. I told y'all I like him. Maybe a day 3 pick if they pick him, it'd probably be 6th to 7th round. But the guy can throw, and he's a slugfest. He can just throw, man. He can ball, man. He can play. Him. And next up is Wart out of Washington State. Honorable mention. I would definitely draft Wart if I was, a GM, just for the simple fact that we can use so many things with him. Receiver, kind of have him go in there and do a pop pass, something like that. Change him to a Julian Edelman type. But yeah, he can throw too. He's good as well. Thrash out of Louisville. Thrash is nice, man. He is nice. I remember I first really laid eyes on him at the Georgia Tech game, the beginning of the season, but this game today, man, against Boston College, Thrash was eating, man. He sticker, you give it to him for a good job, gold star today, man. Thrash really improved his stock. Restrepo out of the University of Miami. Nice football player, wide receiver. He killed us in the A&M game, but it's cool, though. But today, exceptionally well. Did a good job as well today. Bo Nix, obviously, he did his thing. Quarterback. Stewart out of Texas A&M. I know he's a sophomore, but if he does decide to come out next year, his stock is already being built up right now. Who went down today? Pretty much we talked about him. Sam Hartman at Notre Dame. It's not really, I think, 100% his fault. They just now have turned him loose. Travis out of Florida State today against Clemson. He finally played some real talent at the defensive line position, and it showed today. However, he did throw for 3 touchdowns. He did light him up. And the second half, he makes the adjustments, which lets me know that he's a player that's willing to go all 4 quarters, do it 100%, and that's where I believe you draft a quarterback. To me, that's just how I look at it. Second and third quarter, that's when I find out who you really are. Fourth quarter, it's garbage time, or you're trying to win the game at that point, right? Which is, respectively, should be always like that. But y'all know how I go. Next up, and last but not least, before I wrap the video up, is Marvin Harrison. And here's my segment today. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best receiver in college football on paper, stat-wise, and coming into this season. However, when you play teams like Youngstown and you dominate, but when you go missing in the Notre Dame, in the Indiana game, it lets me know where the level of competition is at. And I'm not saying he's a bad receiver. No. Could it be poor quarterback play? That factors it in. Coaching, that factors it in. His dad's a Hall of Famer. He knows who to listen to, right? So the thing with Marvin Harrison Jr. is that I need to see him step up. I believe that he is there. I believe that he is a top 10 pick for the NFL draft this year coming up. It's just that I'm not seeing it anymore. There's no more, I guess, star quarterbacks throwing him the ball. There's no more where, and it's crazy. He's going to get his one-on-ones. That's the thing, right? Because you got to watch the other two receivers, Fleming and I'm going to probably mess this kid's name up. I know I am, but I'm going to get it right next time. But number 4, I believe. So they've got people that have to pretty much, they got to cover across the board at Ohio State. I think it's because the quarterback play is so poor that it's going to hurt this young man's stock. But as a good receiver, you are going to find a way to get the ball in your hands, and you're going to find a way to win the game. However, you make it happen, right? Randy Moss did it for years. His dad did it for years. Reggie Wayne did it for years. Calvin Johnson at Georgia Tech did it for years. These are the things that make you elite and get you solidified in the top 10 picks in the NFL draft and get you paid. So I'm not sold all the way out on Marvin Harrison Jr. just being, a product of a really good system. But I will say this in respect. He can do what he needs to do when it's time to get it done. And today, I just believe that, you know what I'm saying? I believe today what I saw, everybody has a bad game. But he's had 2 so far. So he's really got to clean it up, especially in conference play, as Ohio State gets deep into the Big Ten. Right now, it looks like UGA is going to remain number 1. Number 2 is Michigan. 3 is Texas. After that, none of the other ones matter, to be honest with you. I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm not even going to lie to you to me. But USC, they coming. They're coming from out west. They are coming from out west, and they look. But to respect for USC, they give up a lot of points on defense, man. And they got Bear Alexander now, a couple of other guys too as well, the linebacker position. They give up way too many points, and it's not because of the great quarterback play in the Pac-12. They've played some raunchy type players that's not just amazing, by the way. However, before I hop off onto that tangent about USC, there's a school in California. It's called Fresno State. And they have this guy. I'm about to look him up real quick, y'all. Fresno State they are just, they got this guy named Brooks at receiver. That dude can play. And then they got Mikey Keneal as well. These guys, they ain't no scrubs now. They Fresno State, they doing something over there in Central California. So, just keep an eye on that Fresno State team, scrappy as well. Last night too, if you watched earlier today, Tua's little brother out of Maryland, he did his thing too. Wasn't as bad. I expect a little bit better performance from him, more polished. I really can't say who's the number 1 quarterback in the nation right now besides Caleb Williams. I guess who's number 2. Outside of Caleb Williams, I don't know who's number 2 right now. And the only really true separation is Michael Penix. But after that, man, Daniels, he's been doing good ever since that Florida State game. It's just Sam Hartman's also stepping up too in Notre Dame. Well, he actually took a step back today. So we don't know, but the clear-cut number 1 team in college football is to be determined. I know people are going to probably be in the comments be like, UGA, they won it back-to-back. But, man, they beaten the regular teams. But when they play schools that, the SEC schools, they not looking too hot, player. So, I don't know, but you guys tell me in the comments what you guys think. This has been a fun one, week 4. I'll try to start doing this more on Saturday nights right after the games. You guys let me know on the Prime situation as well. I do believe that Deion will tighten up. He's not going to lose to USC as bad as he lost to Oregon. I do believe they're going to lose to USC, though, but that's okay. I think the rest of the season, the Buffs take care of business. But, because I think that this is where the rubber meets the road for Dion and the boys. I think this is where it starts to get really, really good for them. USC, on the other hand, they went out. If they can, they've got some tough opponents coming up, man. That Oregon State, no, really, if they have to play them, the Pac-12 North, they gonna have some Oregon, Utah, Washington State. It's just basically quarterback play, bro. At that point, man, that's all it really is. It's all it really is, man. But anyways, guys, take it easy. Have a good night. I'm about to crash. I'm out with it. Take it easy.